Okay, let's start. Let me try. This is the second day of Iran. No, Iraq.
Iraq.
Okay, and last week, who joined last week? Nobody? Did you watch Abadi before? Abadi? No.
No.
Maybe nobody. Just a moment. Let me try to check. So, you didn't see maybe? So you didn't study Iraq?
Iraq.
No.
Unno-san, I have a question. Iraq has three categories of the religion. One religion is Sunni Arabian. The second is Sunni Kurd. The third is Shia Arabian. Is it right?
Shia.
Sunni, Shia, and the Kurdish.
Shia.
Yes, and Abadi is he is a fair person. Instead of former person is just a moment. Is before Abadi is what's the name of Abadi? He's very good person. Okay, this guy. And after Saddam Hussein is America assigned one person, Maliki. He is very much favor for Shia.
Shia.
So Sunni people is escaped to ISIL. It's Bas party, lot of Bas party soldiers and officers moving to ISIL. Okay, so America forced switching to this guy to Al-Abadi. He's Al-Abadi. She's a very good person. But Iraq, and before Turkey, did you join the, you didn't do, okay, I need, Turkey you studied. So, did you study Bhutan, right? Bhutan. But you didn't study this one. Did you watch Aung San Suu Kyi, this one? No? Did you? This is a slide of the Guterres is coming on the slide. Did you? Maybe you don't, right? Just this one.
Catastrophic and completely unacceptable.
Did
The
you
words
see
of
this?
UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres describing the attacks
Maybe you
against
didn't.
Muslim Rohingya in Myanmar. As more people flee to Bangladesh, what would it take to stop this violence? This is Inside Story.
This one actually talking about United Nations, and Guterres speak something for criticize Rohingya. And on this screen is Hasina from Bangladesh is coming on the slide. But if you have looked already, just I'm going to move forward to Iraq. You didn't. Let me try to
Welcome
have
to
a
the
look.
program. I'm Jane Dutton. Global pressure is mounting on Myanmar and its leader Aung San Suu Kyi to end the killing and displacement of Muslim Rohingya. The UN has urged the government to take immediate steps.
No, you just sit a little bit, not like this, right? Or sing back.
To stop the violence. Secretary General Antonio Guterres called on Myanmar's military to suspend its operation in the western Rakhine state
Maybe you
and allow
don't.
Rohingya to return to their villages. At least 400,000 people have fled to Bangladesh since the violence escalated late last month. We've a lot to get to with our guests, but first James Bays sets up a discussion from UN headquarters in New York.
These were the toughest words yet from the Secretary General on the ongoing violence in Myanmar.
Why she didn't use toughest word? Because of China against voting for the criticize for Myanmar. Right? So he didn't use the word ethnic cleansing.
I call on the Myanmar authorities to suspend...
By the way, Guterres, he is not very similar to the former guy. Not the best person. And a major country all over the world does not respect him.
End military action, end the violence, uphold the rule of law, and recognize the right of return of all those who had to leave the country. The UN knows the situation is deteriorating fast. When Mr. Guterres last spoke to reporters a week ago, there were 125,000 Rohingya refugees. That number has now tripled.
By the way, he said 125 people. This is date of the last September. Okay? The end of September and the end of the year, last year, 800,000? Almost 1 million.
Given the situation has got so much worse in the last week, do you believe this is ethnic cleansing?
He said ethnic cleansing. All over the world, every country criticized Myanmar. They did ethnic cleansing. Right? But UN never say ethnic cleansing. Okay?
Well, I will answer your question with another question. When
very similar words he using, but never say ethnic cleansing.
1/3 of the Rohingya population had to flee the country, can you find a better word to describe it? The Secretary-General has already taken the extremely rare step of writing to the Security Council urging them to take action. As he spoke, the Council was meeting, first with an open session on Somalia. It was only...
Okay, I tell you, this is United Nations is best organization. Japanese government try to utilize this. Okay, Japanese government or Japan is almost neglected from the rest of the world. Right? Okay. So now is the Japanese people in Europe, they are yellow monkey. Right? So they cannot speak at any kind of word, opinion. So this is a very serious situation. And I studied all over the world by country, now reaching to Africa. Then I can recognize Japanese government need to cooperate with United Nations. United Nations people is not good people. Some people is middle class, maybe good person, but top layer of the people is no good. So Japanese government heavily involved in this organization, try to lead them to influence all over the world.
But Unno-san, currently, the China government has a many big power in the United Nations.
No, they are sending the ambassador there, but China does not speak. He does not utilize United Nations. China speak out their opinion, but not dominant United Nations. And also Japanese government spending I believe the second country of the world first is United States, second is Japan.
Second is Japan, yes.
China is just only less than 5% of total money to spending for the United Nations. So it is very good, but Japanese government do not send people, so many people, and not good people. Okay, not good, it means senior people. So now Japanese government decide to utilize this organization to send a message or sending a Japanese image to all over the world. Right? So I believe that this is a very good organization. You can listen.
After that ended and they went into closed session, and when they discussed any other business, that the crisis in Myanmar was finally raised. Afterwards, the President of the Security Council read a carefully worded statement that was nowhere near as strong as the words of the Secretary-General.
The members of the Security Council expressed deep concern about the situation in Rakhine State, acknowledging the initial
Rakhine State
on Myanmar security forces on 25th August.
Should Myanmar stop all its military operations in the state now? That's what the Secretary-General says. Does the Security Council share that view?
Now, that the statement that I read out is what we have agreed.
There are some who will see that as a very weak statement.
Very weak statement. It means he didn't use ethnic cleansing.
Some might say.
So why is the Security Council not being tougher? There's always a logjam when there's a lack of unity, and when one of the permanent 5 members is opposed to action. In this case, diplomats point to China, a long-standing ally of Myanmar's military. James Baker.
Sorry, I didn't tell you the key word. You can see, have a look left side, logjam, okay? Footage. Scorched earth policy. Stampede. Eradication. Pussyfoot. Pussyfoot. あまり使わない。contextual しょっちゅう使う。influence あんまり使わない。sociological しょっちゅう使う。spikes よく出てくる。move in sync with sync はしょっちゅう出てくるけど。move in sync with はあんまり使わない。defective よく使います。anachronistic これもしょっちゅう出てきます。institutionalized violenceこの institutionalize っていうのは、ここに出て日常化したっていう意味では、ほとんど使わない。spectacularly は著しいわ。まあ、よく使う。gratify あんまり使わないね。これが単語です。OK, just going to start again.
Al Jazeera at the United Nations.
Let's bring in our guests in Bangkok. Phil Robertson, Deputy Asia Director for Human Rights Watch, joining us from Yangon in Myanmar. Abdul Rashid, founder and chairman at the Rohingya Foundation Community. And in London, Wang Zani, a human rights activist. Very warm welcome to all.
She is a former general or something, a military person, or his family is a strong relationship with Myanmar's army.
Three of you. Abdul Rashid, at this rate, are there going to be any Rohingya left in Myanmar?
Yeah, of course, still many Rohingya already left inside the Rakhine state, but they are in a very severe situation. They are very facing huge problem for the food, as they don't have the food. So many people is on the way to Bangladesh. So many people, a few days, maybe many days on the way.
Oh, this guy is a member of Rohingya Foundation community. He's a chairman. Okay, very strong opinion for. He is very accurate opinion. He is speaking out.
So without food and water, so this is
not hot, but he's very cool speaking out his opinion.
Huge catastrophe as well. The people facing inside the Myanmar as well.
We are hearing that almost 40% of Rohingya villages are empty. I mean, from a military perspective, that's almost a job done, isn't it?
Yeah, of course, maybe as the footages we're receiving and information we're receiving is about half of the population already destroyed, and more than 400,000 already left, went to the Bangladesh, and around 100,000 is on the way and inside the jungle and inside the mountain and the water, river, wherever they trying to leave the country as well. So, and they don't feel secure here. So most important thing is need people security and the protection. What they don't find the protection here.
And Phil Robinson, I'm just wondering from your experience and what you see on the ground, how this is playing out, this situation that has been called ethnic cleansing.
We're calling it ethnic cleansing. We agree with Secretary General that there is ethnic cleansing taking place there. Also with the High Commissioner for Human Rights, Mr. Zaid, who also called it ethnic cleansing. What is happening is a scorched earth campaign that is...
Okay, scorched earth campaign, just I tell you. 衝動戦略.
The term designed to essentially stampede the Rohingya out of northern...
Okay, stampede. 怖がらせる. Stampede.
Rakhine State. And then sort of a cleanup operation where either army or...
Why cleanup operation, Teddy? Takashi Unno, do you remember?
Cleanup operation.
Yeah, why the military of Myanmar did cleanup operation against Rohingya? Do you remember? Why? Kimoto, you didn't join this
No,
before? No?
no.
Okay.
But Rohingya, people in Rohingya, there's two types. One type is just ordinary people, but the other is very armed Rohingya people. Armed Rohingya people is attacked, their country's police and military. Therefore, military and police forces should be attack the Rohingya armed people.
Okay, not precisely. Actually, the Rohingya people, they are not armed.
Not
Okay?
armed.
But somebody encouraged them to attack police. Somebody who, it's my guess is military or Myanmar military.
Really?
Like kind of CIA. Kick them to attack police. Why they did is their objective is consider for the Aung San Suu Kyi's position, kick her out from government. They believe Aung San Suu Kyi her support is Buddhist, right?
Yeah.
So she never accept Rohingya people's protection. So that's the reason military people or intelligence group encourage for Rohingya, some people, some group attack police office. And police, they attack, whenever they attack police office, okay, military decided to ban all village because they, Rohingya people kick out from their country. Okay? Not the ethnic cleansing is not the right word. Military, they are not planning to kill them all. They're planning to kick them out from their country. 1 million, very similar to Bhutan. Okay, Bhutan did the same thing in 1980s. 300,000 people kicked out from Bhutan to Nepal. Right? Same thing happened here.
浄化ですか？
ethnic cleansing は民族浄化。
So what did you say is trying to encourage the Rohingya to attack on the police? The police is the Myanmar police.
Yeah.
So
It gives them the incentive to attack many police offices. Okay. And those Rohingya people, they don't think about afterwards what's happening. Maybe it's kind of silly people. Then whenever attack those police offices, okay, military attack Rohingya people and ban all villages and get rid of this current thing. They stick into the location or kill them. So everybody escaped to Bangladesh. Right?
now we have so many the cases of what is coming up on the surface is maybe manipulated by someone working behind.
Yes, yes.
So this time, this is a proxy battle between
Yes,
military and police.
yes, I guess military. Because military defeated by Aung San Suu Kyi in the government, right? So military tried to establish their government position again. So they planning to kick her out from organization. And I don't know, I can't believe why Aung San Suu Kyi support Rohingya, right? This is still strange because she just lost everybody from the rest of the world support. Nobody support her. So I don't know what she is thinking about in her mind. And she believes that her supporter is Buddhist, or almost majority people is support her. So she believes, okay, the Buddhists support her. So she just safe in the country. No. Nobody try to make investment or put money in Myanmar anymore, right? So it means she will not be supported by people, right? So sooner the better she she will be kicked out from the government organization. So basically, Myanmar military planning to do that.
Yeah, I think so. What's a little bit tricky is both military side and also the police side are mainly working for Aung San Suu Kyi, the existing administration, are supporting or working for the Buddhists. So both sides, seemingly working for Buddhists.
Oh, by the way, military is also Buddhist.
Yeah, so the Aung San Suu Kyi, her side, and also the opponent, which is military side.
Mm-hmm.
Since both tends to be working for the Buddhists.
Mm-hmm.
So even though Aung San Suu Kyi is understanding this so-called ethnic cleansing is caused by something from military side.
Mm-hmm.
They're putting Rohingya on the case.
Mm-hmm.
So she's not in a good position to accuse military.
Oh, this is because the Constitution define the scope of the responsibility. So ethnic minority people will be handled by military. She can't touch Rohingya people. The responsibility. Okay, military has 3 areas where they have organized. One is handling for minority people. Second is military actions. Third one is something like that they try to protect their own responsibility. And she cannot influence any sort of area. She can speak at any opinion for this country.
Yeah, but it's what is good strategy from the military side to the Aung San Suu Kyi is even if Aung San Suu Kyi didn't do anything, then she has been accused of not helping that minority groups.
Yes.
But on the other hand, once she stepped in helping the Rohingya, this is also one. It could be one cause of how the Aung San Suu Kyi is accused.
Yes.
Yeah, she's helping the Muslim people.
Exactly. So both sides, whatever she's going to speak out, she's going to be military try hard to kick out from the organization. This is this is my observation. But nobody speaks out kind of issues, but I believe that. Okay? So this is actually the Rohingya people. And also many global people feel sorry for Rohingya. But now I'm studying Africa. This is kind of 1 million people or 100,000 people killed. This is normal activity what they're doing in Africa. Okay?
Yeah, but in the interview in UN, maybe it's journalists, they're accusing the Secretary General and Aung San Suu Kyi of not helping this ethnic cleansing. But what is their what are they standing for? The journalists, I think they also knows that this is proxy battle, mainly caused by military group, based on their intention to kick her out.
You mean Aung San Suu Kyi's attitude?
Journalists and CNN, BBC.
Oh, everybody criticized Myanmar.
Yeah, the target of criticizing the
Both.
Myanmar is Aung San Suu Kyi and
military. Yes.
Okay.
So they decided the embargo of weaponry embargo to Myanmar, and also criticize Aung San Suu Kyi speaker, ask her to tell the truth. What is the right action, because he has peace Nobel laureate, right? So why not speak out the truth? So So criticize military, criticize Aung San Suu Kyi.
So
But Aung San Suu Kyi, she does not take any action until now.
So in this case, what's gonna be the good action, right action of UN? So the Secretary General of UN is also accused. Why they're not using the words of ethnic
Oh,
cleansing?
okay. UN is they take action because Annan is former Secretary General of UN. Annan is take responsibility to handling for Myanmar ethnic the Rohingya problems. Annan is responsible, but he could do nothing at all. And also, nobody cannot persuade Aung San Suu Kyi, even if American Secretary General, State Secretary visited to talk with her, but nothing happened. But so I don't know why she doesn't take action. It's ridiculous. This is what I don't know. But any other thing is I analyze this Myanmar situation, what's going on, and 100% for sure she will be out of government, out from government. Nobody support her. Only Buddhist people support her, but the rest of the world will not allow her to stay that position. So government cannot get money from all over the world. That country cannot survive, right? So this is a conclusion is obvious. But why? How come she doesn't speak out anything at all? And also she said, okay, anytime Rohingya people coming back to the States, but think about it, burn everything, just flat. So how 1 million people going back to their country? It's impossible. Not 6 months, more than 1 year. But they don't take any action. But problem is, Bangladesh cannot sustain those people because, okay, they can provide water, they can provide some medicine, but who's going to provide food? They can't do that. That country is not rich. So they can't sustain more than 1 year or 6 months. What's happened? Okay? This is a big problem. And it means the United Nations will go and support them for sending money and people, and also some NGO people support them. But like Syria, Turkey is supporting 3.5 million people, refugees in Turkey from Syria. The same thing happening in actually Bangladesh. But Bangladesh country itself cannot sustain those people in that country, right? But I tell you, in Africa, this is normal, daily normal action they're happening.
There was historical issues. About 200 years ago, Myanmar was called Burma. That was a colony of England. England brings Muslim people from Pakistan to the million people. Before 200 years ago, people in Muslim and people in Buddhist lived in it very peacefully. But in United Kingdom brings many people, Rohingya people, bring to the Pakistan to Burma. That was a break of the balance of the United Kingdom breaks the balance of the ethnic.
I remember the Japanese military support Rohingya against the British Army. Japanese military.
World War II.
Yeah. So since then, two people are not going well. And Rohingya, Japanese military in Burma, gives them priority for doing anything for their side against the British Army. Rohingya. So this is actually Rohingya against Buddhists. This is actually World War II battle there. Since then they don't going well. Okay. But if they don't attack police 1 year ago, nothing happened. But they attacked no way. Some crazy people over here. So sacrifice of 1 million people. Okay, let's continue. carefully listen. Those people's opinion is some person is good, some person is terrible, some person is too hot. So you can judge.
Well, Rakhine Buddhists are setting alight the villages that have been abandoned. It's created a massive humanitarian crisis on the Bangladesh border, and it's created a wide swath of northern Rakhine State that no longer have a Rohingya there. That's the classic definition of ethnic cleansing. We're going to be coming out overnight with new information.
She's using ethnic cleansing so often, but this is not ethnic cleansing. Ethnic cleansing means kill them all. Okay? They don't kill so many people. Kick out from that area. But so ethnic cleansing word is not accurate. Okay? They are not planning to do ethnic cleansing. They just want to kick them out from that country because of Rohingya attack police. Okay? It means some kind of, they believe that kind of terrorism, right? So this is the reason why.
Showing that we've 59 different villages that have been destroyed by arson. A number of those we have sensory data from environmental satellites. Others we have satellite imagery, which is still hard to come by because, of course, it is monsoon season. So that a lot of times we're fighting with cloud cover to get a clear picture of what's taking place. But the devastation is widespread, and it is obviously designed to stampede these people out of the country and to ultimately keep them out, because I think that there's very little likelihood without a concerted effort by the international community that Burma will ever allow these people to come back to the northern Rakhine State.
And Phil, you are hearing at the same time horrific stories of what's been done to men, women and children.
Well, right now we're investigating at least 5 massacres where people have been, a village was surrounded and people were slaughtered. In most cases, what we have found is that people were able to get away from their village. Sometimes they were shot at. Sometimes they were hit with mortars so that there were shrapnel wounds. But in many cases, it appears that they're trying to stampede people out of these areas. They're trying to get them on the run and drive them out of the country. That seems to be the major intent right here. And, you know, if that requires...
You said driving them out of country, right? Drive them out, right?
Requires the military of Burma killing some people. Well, obviously they're willing to do that. They need to be held accountable. There needs to be a global arms embargo on Burma.
She said global arms embargo. This is need to be a global arms embargo on Burma. This is stupid.
And there needs to be a suspension of all military.
Okay, suspension of military and military ties. This is stupid, right? Useless.
Ties that have grown up with the Burmese military in countries like Australia, the U.S., the UK.
He said Australia, U.S., UK, embargo.
UK and others.
Wangzani, if we are seeing an ethnic cleansing unfolding here, what do you think the end game is?
What the end game is.
Okay, this guy is very hot guy.
The eradication of the Rohingya as a
eradication is condensed eradication
group, and that takes us to a serious, discussion about why the UN is pussyfooting around this issue.
Okay, pussyfooting, 逃げ切らない態度. We don't use so much this word, pussyfooting, he said, okay?
Using the word ethnic cleansing, which is ahistorical and completely, non-contextual, given the fact that my country and that my friends who are running the army...
okay, he said my friends who are running army, his friend might be the higher position of this army.
Have a verifiable, inferable intent to destroy this group as a matter of policy. It's we have in Burma, my relatives are in the army.
Also, he said my relatives are in the army.
Different branches, and there is more than enough evidence to establish that the intent behind driving these people out is...
He's right. The intent behind driving these people out Okay. Intent.
Not simply to secure the geographic location, but to destroy them as a community.
Okay, why just all he's talking about destroy them as a community, because they have struggling for almost 100 years, right? Going back to the British, Japanese army strife.
And to destroy their history, erase their identity. That is the classic definition. However you define it, however we define the term genocide, either
Also, here genocide is not an accurate word.
narrowly, legally, which UN attempts to do, and human rights organizations with lots of lawyers attempt to do, or sociologically, as the original framer of the term genocide, Raphael Lemkimbo would want it. And so, if you look at...
Okay, well then tell me what you think is happening and what the military...
Genocide was like Rwanda. 20 years ago, the Hutu killed Tutsi people, almost 1 million, only 100 days. This is actual genocide. Kill them all. Right?
military is trying to achieve here? What is it then?
That the military is trying to cleanse the entire area and restore it to the original state, which they think has no Muslims historically there. And so I think that,
He's getting very old, right? This is not accurate.
Expelling people, driving them, by the thousands, starting in 1978, with spikes of massive violence, killing thousands, raping hundreds of women, periodically, every 10, 15 years, the army...
This is true, okay? Not this is the first time. Several times happened before.
It has been doing it for almost 40 years. And if you look at the conditions, physical and biological conditions under which the entire Rohingya population has been kept, the intent is to gradually physically destroy this community, biologically stop them.
Okay, I'm going to bring in Abdul Rashid here. I mean, what do you think can be done if we are seeing a form of ethnic cleansing here to get all the Rohingya out of the country? What is going to stop the military now? Who is going to stop the military now? I mean, you've heard from the United Nations and they've just expressed deep concern. Is that enough?
What we believe is we want...
Okay, he's a very nice guy. Speak out good opinion. Okay, rather than the other people. Good opinion.
Want to peace and peace in our country, want to see the peace. So I think for the Burmese military and for the Myanmar government as well, is the most important thing to realize the voice of the international community and the tune of the word of the General, Secretary General of the United Nations is very, very important. So they have to respect, and maybe it's very good to them to listen the voice of the international community.
But why would they listen to the international community when they know that nobody's going to come in and stop them?
I think if they're not stopped right now, maybe a situation going more worse than we are seeing. The tune is very different than others before previously they used. So I think Burmese military and the Myanmar government has to be understand the tune of the Secretary General. This used word is very, very important. That's why, and for the solution is the most important. First is to stop the current operation, very important, and secondly, and to open all the access of the humanitarian aid. People need to be feeded, and then people need medicine as well. And the third thing is to possible return of the people.
But so far, what he's speaking is just kind of common sense, but it's actually not effective.
Who already left the country and bring them with the peace and the security and with the dignity. That is very, very important. I think he's implementable.
Okay, but to pick up on what you said a little bit...
Not implementable.
Why would the Rohingya return back to Myanmar? They know that they're not wanted. The situation is not likely to change anytime soon. Is there anything Aung San Suu Kyi, I just want to ask Phyllis, is there anything do you think that Aung San Suu Kyi can do? Does she have any control over the military at all? It doesn't seem to be the case.
There's a couple points here, I think. In terms of what can be done.
Oh, carefully listen. Carefully listen. Okay.
By the international community, there has to be pressure put on Min Aung Hlaing and the Burma Army. They're the people who can stop this immediately. And what we're talking about here, to start with, is as I mentioned, a global arms embargo, no one being able to sell arms to Burma, but also going after any sort of program that has been introduced to work with the Burma Army. And there are a number of militaries around the world who have moved towards that, and they need to suspend those programs. More importantly, I think we need to be looking at possible reintroduction of economic sanctions.
You know, look at the U.S. involvement there from a military point of view, the British involvement from a military point of view, the fact that China supports what is going on.
Well, I mean, if there is a global arms embargo that is proclaimed by the UN Security Council, China's going to have to abide by that, along with Belarus and Russia.
Abide by Stefan. What he's talking about is just not. It doesn't make sense. What she said is right. Okay, China is supporting for Myanmar militarily, so China never give up. Okay, never abide by UN sanction. China is support for Myanmar. They want to build dam for providing water to China, right? So it's what she's talking about is he doesn't understand the situation of China. Okay.
And Israel and all these other countries that sell arms to the Burma Army. But
this is exactly the same situation of North Korea. Okay. UN submit heavy sanction against North Korea, but Russia, China, they never follow.
Also, he said about Israel little before. Why he said about Israel?
Oh, Israel is very sticking to United States.
Oh.
So they are very huge weaponry selling country.
Oh yes, yes.
So they will want to sell arms to everywhere, all over the world. Right?
Oh, for the business.
Yeah, for the business.
But, you asked the question about Aung San Suu Kyi. Aung San Suu Kyi, of course, under the 2008 Constitution, doesn't have authority over security matters.
He said true. 2008 Constitution does not have the authority over security matter. She cannot do anything at all for this kind of security. Also, third one security. Okay. First one was a minority is belonging to military. And second is military have responsibility for the armed conflict. Third is just what she said, security issues.
That's given completely to the Burma Army, but she does have a moral.
Just this is true. Moral
obligation to
moral obligation. Okay.
Stand up. She has a stature. Internationally, that while damaged, is still fairly strong. She has strong popularity within the nation of Burma. Many people still support her, and she needs to step up and differentiate herself from what the Burma Army is doing. She has to say, look, these things that they have done have gone much too far, and
she didn't say that.
We are going to investigate, and we're going to allow the UN to investigate. As foreign minister, she is the person who makes the decisions about whether the fact-finding mission that was mandated by the UN Human Rights Council.
He's right. She didn't do anything at all like this, but he said
has the right to enter the country or not.
So that's what I said. She's crazy. Okay, I don't understand what she's thinking about, right?
Well, she should.
And Tillerson of the State Secretary came to meet with her, but she didn't move her mind.
Say yes, we're going to let them in, and we're going to urge them to go wherever they need to go.
Okay, this is she reject to accept United Nations to come to this country, right?
Go to fulfill their mandate, and we respect the mandate of the Human Rights Council.
Okay, Abdul, you were trying to
And
get
if
in
the Army
and
has a problem with
say
that, well, then the Army has to step up and resist it, but, then they're the villain, not her.
Why would Aung San Suu Kyi step in and side with the victims, whereas in fact she is very much in sync with the military on this, and she controls, except like the two or three important.
I'm not saying I don't know if she's going to do it or not. I mean, she may not do it. But the question was, what should she do? And this is what she should do.
But by not condemning, let me bring in Abdul here. By not condemning Abdul, is she providing cover for the military?
It seems like that. We believe Aung San Suu Kyi have some limited power because of the 2008 constitution and the military, 25% of military in all the parliaments. So she has less control, and the 3 key ministry also in the hand of the military as well. But fact is, Aung San Suu Kyi is the de facto leader of this country. So she is the most responsible. She has to speak out loudly, whatever going against the human being. This is most important. She comes with the justice, and she comes with the right word to use, and at least she needs to use to stop whatever going on is not according to international law, is a violation of the international law. So
he's right. She's right what he said.
She has to realize.
Okay, and Manga, I'm just wondering, I know that all the blame falls on Aung San Suu Kyi, but shouldn't it rather be the Commander-in-Chief, Min Aung Hlaing, who Phil spoke about a little bit earlier on, who controls the army, who Europe and other parts of the world lay out the red carpet for him? Shouldn't he be the one who is focused from a sanctions point of view, that he should be removed from his post? Until that happens, nothing's going to change in the army, which is anachronistic as well.
No, I know these guys personally. Like the guys, your top commanders in Min Aung Hlaing's office, like his senior deputies. They're my old friends, and it doesn't matter you remove Min Aung Hlaing, but that is why I said this is genocidal, because the army has institutionalized the view that the Rohingya need to be removed on cultural and national security ground from that by any means possible. There should be no Rohingya left standing by their name. That is why, whoever general is in charge, doesn't matter. The army is on an autopilot in terms of the Rohingya, eradication. That is why it's so crucial. We understand that this is an institutionalized killing. And
what he said is just she asked to switch in general, the other person. But he said, any generals coming up to the position, but military, we're going to take same action to eradication of the Rohingya, he said.
The world needs to respond appropriately accordingly. And I think this case indicates a spectacular failure, once again, of both the Security Council and the international community. We have failed over and over again in these cases, mass atrocities, whatever their legal names, ethnic cleansing, crimes against humanity, genocide. The fact is, UN is failing spectacularly. World leaders are failing spectacularly. Regional
it seems that the world is
he just only criticized the United Nations.
standing by while it's happening. And Phil, I'm just going to bring you in here. Excuse me, jumping in. I'm just wondering where this leaves Bangladesh. They are in a situation where they are taking in all the Rohingya, the most unwanted people on the planet, I think it's fair to say. People are talking about a mini Palestine. They don't want them there. They can't afford to have them there.
Well, Bangladesh actually has stood up in a very important way. It was gratifying to see Sheikh Hasina go down to the camps and speak with the people and speak publicly about the fact that these people are citizens of Burma. These people are persons who have to go back to that country, and that they have been treated inhumanely by the government of Burma. Bangladesh needs all the support it can get right now, and I think that there has to be a priority from donor nations around the world to be as generous as possible with Bangladesh.
She's okay.
And with the UN agencies and international NGOs that are working there to be able to get the sort of food, medicine, basic shelter, and other essential elements of this.
You can observe almost all refugees are women and children, not men.
Disaster relief to those people, because we're in the middle of the monsoon season. We're looking at the possible outbreaks of very serious waterborne disease. They've got no sanitation. A lot of people haven't eaten, for days. I mean, this is the disaster of the first order, and it needs to be dealt with that way.
Mom, you're shaking your
but
head.
over a longer period of time, I don't know what Bangladesh is going to do. Bangladesh is going to face a difficult situation because
I think Phil hit the nail on its head. Bangladesh has stood up after having put up with the Burmese denial of the persecution in Burma, and the profound impact that Bangladeshi society has to bear as a neighbor. This is an international issue. This is not a domestic issue. And I think one of the best ways to back Bangladesh is not only increasing the funding and providing moral and diplomatic support, but to recognize and back. When Bangladeshi foreign minister 2 days ago, this is genocide, and Turkish minister has said it. Scholars after scholars have said it, because it's so crucial that the crime be named by its legal name, so that we could have a serious push to pressure Russia and China and others to come on board, or if not, we find solution outside of the UN Security Council. Security Council has not prevented or protected the innocent civilians in any genocidal situation since it was created in 1945 in San Francisco.
Okay, I'm going to bring you in now. Aung San Suu Kyi is not going to be turning up at the United Nations General Assembly gathering on Wednesday, and yet we are expecting a State of the Nation speech from her on Tuesday. Any idea what she's going to say? I mean, she must have something in her mind. She's going to have to address this situation. What do you think it is that she will be able to say?
This is really difficult. I don't know. I think that she should, if she is a smart politician. She says she's not a human rights activist. She says she's a politician. She should be...
Listen carefully. His opinion is completely wrong.
You're going to have a way to differentiate herself from what has happened, what has been done on the ground by the Burma army. She should be trying to recognize the concerns of the international community and saying that, there needs to be actions taken. She needs to rededicate herself to the implementation of the Rakhine Advisory Committee report, which was the commission chaired by former UN Secretary General Kofi Annan. There's a number of things she could say, but she's going to have to condemn in some way, shape, or form the actions of the Burma army on the ground. Because quite clearly they are ethnic cleansing.
Well, okay.
And they, are likely to be labeled as crimes against humanity as well.
Before we draw to the end of the program. Abdul, I mean, the problem is, if you don't have someone like Aung San Suu Kyi, who do you have? Do you think that's her strongest card at the moment?
Oh, this fish.
Unno-san, but I think there is another history issue. Colonial Burma, United Kingdom used Rohingya as an agent of his government to dominate major Buddhists. Therefore, Buddhists has anger emotion to the Rohingya.
Really?
That's one of historical issue.
Oh, really? Not Japanese army.
Not United Kingdom use Rohingya as an agent.
Oh, okay.
To dominate Burma.
Okay. So, this is Myanmar. Okay, just Bhutan is finished. And Turkey finished. Turkey is Ohash's effort for 30 pages. He written down every word of U2, it written down into the sentences, right? Jesus. He spent a lot of time, 30 pages, 1 hour. Right?
ページはな。
I spend a double amount of time to change his English word. And this is very long. Also, Japanese narratives. He write down translated every word. Translated. Oh, this is, do you know this? Lester.
No, I don't know that.
Turkish song. This is very famous Turkish song.
Ah, yes, I know.
Do you know this?
Yes. This is military music.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Turkish people, everybody knows this.
Oh. Turkey army fought with this song.
Turkey's army song,
Army song.
and enemies hear this song.
Yeah.
Everybody escaped.
Escape, yes.
This is Ottoman Empire song.
Yeah.
Okay, this is Chechin Didin, this famous song. Okay, Iraq.
Iraq.
We're going to get Iraq. Just I have a brief Japanese explanation here. We're going to read this. Okay, Malik failed because of he tried to utilize Shia instead of Sunni. And America occupied Iraq, and he couldn't do well because he tried to use their power instead of people's involvement. Later they changed the strategy. Abadi, okay, he is a very good person. Now I'm going to show you his video later. This country is the world's third largest reserve of oil.
Also, number one is the United States.
Number one is number one United States and Russia, Saudi Arabia. Three.
Yeah.
Okay, Kurdish problem. Peshmerga is a famous army of Kurdish people. Okay. The politics of Iraq place in a framework of federal parliamentary representative democratic republic. It is a multi-party system whereby the executive power is president, power is 早いな、お前。
はい。
早かったね。exercise by the いいよ、座ってて。もう一個椅子そこね。もう一個ある。あ、そこにあった。お前そこに中でいいよ。Exercised by Prime Minister of Council of Ministers as the head of government, as well as the President of Iraq. And the legislative power is vested in the Council of Representatives and the Federation Council. The current Prime Minister of Iraq is Haider al-Abadi, who holds most of the executive authority and appointed the Council of Ministers, which acts as a cabinet and for government. This is my English. This is my English. I changed. Okay.
Abadi.
Huh?
Abadi.
Al-Abadi.
Which ethnic?
Al-Abadi. Al-Abadi. Sunni. Iraq people majority is Sunni.
Yeah.
But the Shia is actually dominant government beforehand, and Syria is the same. Syria is majority people Sunni, but Shia is Assad is Shia, and she's a branch of Shia. What's the name of the religion? Syria. Okay, Fuad Massoum was overwhelmingly elected by Parliament in July 2014. He is the second ethnic Kurdish president of Iraq, succeeding Jalal Talabani. The newly al-Maliki-led Shia-led government that has held power since then have struggled to maintain order. And in 2014, Haider al-Abadi forming a new government solving conflict between Sunni, Shiite, and Kurdish factions. The country has enjoyed only brief periods of respite from high level of sectarian violence. Violence and sabotage hinder the revival of an economy shattered by decades of conflict and sanctions. Iraq has the world's third largest reserves of crude oil. Okay, next video. Why America invaded Iraq? This is 2015. Why did America invade Iraq in 2003? Was it for oil, or was it because Saddam Hussein was a mass-murdering dictator who harbored terrorists and threatened the region with weapons of mass destruction? If it was the former, oil, wouldn't it have been a lot easier to just buy Iraq oil on open market? And if it was the latter, why did Hillary Clinton, Joe Biden, and John Kerry support President Bush? Noted British historian Andrew Roberts has the answers. Okay, just summary in Japanese. 2003, America invaded Iraq. Okay, they try to implement democracy in the Middle East, and 35 years position of Hussein was they try to eliminate him. And if success democracy in Middle East, and terror activity will diminish, they thought. But 1980 to 1988, Iraq-Iran war, and 1 million people dead, and both sides using cyclone gas? Mustard gas. Okay. 1990, Iraq invaded Kuwait, and 1991 is what the name of the word? Gulf War. Started Gulf War, and 2003 Iraq War, and saying they have confidence for the he didn't reflect his Gulf War, so he supported terrorists. He never touched 9/11. Okay, this is
2003 U.S. invaded the Iraqi, the U.S. use fake news. Iraq has a mass murder weapon,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
but there's no mass murder weapon. But U.S. made a fake news.
Yeah, but actually they had poison gas.
Poison gas.
Yeah.
Mustard gas.
Mustard gas they had, but it means
Mustard gas is a mass destruction weapon.
mass destruction weapon, yes.
One of them.
Some might be.
Massacre. Massacre.
Okay, just try to confirm the word. Blood stained. Blood strained. Strained. Okay. Shattered. Embark. Lunatic. Wrote. Appeasement. I don't use appeasement. Okay. Americana. Closer. Americana. Encounter. しょっちゅう使う。Trump card. 使う。Bear. 使う。Defy. 使う。Mock. 使う。Harbor. 使う。Back down. 使う。Very coarse. 使う。We can't. 使わない。Concur. 使う。Despot. 使う。Convince. 使う。Convince. 使う。Okay, this is a new word, so let's have a look. This is very short video. Okay, 5 minutes. Carefully watch.
Why did the United States go to war against Iraq in 2003? The decision was controversial at the time and remains so today, but the reason was clear. Saddam Hussein, the brutal dictator of Iraq for 35 years, was the central threat to peace in the Middle East. With that threat removed, the Bush administration believed the establishment of a functioning democracy in Iraq would encourage the growth of democracy elsewhere in the Arab world. As democracy spread, terrorism would retreat. But it is on the blood-stained life and career of Saddam Hussein that we need to concentrate in order better to understand why the United States felt forced to act in 2003. We begin with the Iran-Iraq War, which Saddam started in 1980 and which lasted until 1988. 1 million people died in the course of the decade-long struggle. And during that war, weapons of mass destruction, or WMD,
Okay, weapons of mass destruction, WMD,
especially poison
gas. Okay, Iraq had
gas, were used on a regular basis by both sides. Once his war with Iran ended, instead of building up his shattered nation, Saddam decided to embark on another lunatic adventure. In 1990, he tried to grab 19% of the world's oil supply by invading Kuwait. His brief annexation of Kuwait proved to be another disaster. The mother of all battles, as Saddam called it, turned out to be a 3-week rout, his Iraqi army utterly defeated by a US-led coalition. But rather than trying Saddam as a war criminal, America and the West allowed him to stay in power. This appeased...
we cannot believe it. How come America and the Western world allow him to stay the position? Right? It's unbelievable. Just kick him out. They didn't actually.
Eventually led Saddam, once again, to draw entirely the wrong conclusion and to his making yet another colossal mistake. He arrogantly believed that his Iraqi army might...
By the way, United States is a very brutal country. Okay? Very must be careful how to handle America. Like current Afghanistan, current Saudi Arabia, very risky. And America first means they are very strong national interest oriented. Any other country don't care, okay? Just I'm okay, is everything okay? Right? Afghanistan, they try to get them all to American people, American military, American private companies. So that, right? And Eric Prince is his Prince. No, Eric Prince. Prince. Oh. Eric Prince is a senior advisor of Trump. He is a company of grocery?
The Blackwater?
Blackboard grocery, Yohei grocery.
I'm not sure the term. Sorry, I'm not sure the term.
Yohei company of grocery is sending soldiers all over the world. And he is a senior advisor. I find out that the reason Trump listened to his opinion. First of all, at the election, he decided to retreat army from Afghanistan. As soon as he finished the election, he decided to send 3,000 soldiers to Afghanistan because he tried to get money from Afghanistan. Right? It means America first. And Saudi Arabia the same, right? And he sold how much? How many money? 100 million, 100 billion US dollars. Arms, weaponry to Saudi Arabia. This is used for the Yemen.
Yeah. He's
against Yemen. No, not against. For Yemen. Yemen is two parties, Houthi and the other party, and they try to target Houthi, right? So for Yemen, not against. Okay, but this whole thing, Trump doesn't care. The Syrian army and kill ordinary people. He doesn't care. Right? And Salman is a crazy guy. He is not a smart person, and he has money, so he buy army from the state and use for Yemen.
I think U.S. military needs a battlefield to keep their budget in the United States.
Oh, they have a lot of inventory of weapons, right? Okay, that's right. Yeah.
I'd actually defeat the United States in a second.
He believes he can defeat the United States. It's crazy.
Counter. His trump card, he believed, or at least attempted to make the world believe, was his possession of WMD, large quantities of poison gas and, if only in his imagination, a rapidly progressing nuclear weapons development program. There was no reason to doubt that he had WMD, as he'd used poison gas in his war against Iraq. No one, not the Germans, not the Russians, not the British, had any doubts about this. Looking back...
Actually, they had the poison gas, right?
Yes.
Back at the 12 years between the Gulf War and the Iraq War, Saddam might have been able to re-establish international credibility by complying with the 16 reasonable UN resolutions passed between November 1990 and December 1990.
Very similar to North Korea. 16 resolutions. I don't know North Korea. How many? 25 resolutions.
But Iraq has no nuclear weapon. Iraq has no nuclear weapon. But North Korea has already get a nuclear weapon.
Okay, mainly the stance of the head of this country, Saddam Hussein, very similar to Kim Jong-un. Too much confidence. He can beat the United States at that time, right? Incredible.
9.
So, unbelievable. Saddam Hussein believed he can beat the United States. Okay, North Korea might believe that he can beat the United States.
These resolutions simply required Saddam to, among other things, destroy all of his ballistic missiles with a range greater than 150 kilometers, stop support for terrorism internationally, and prevent terrorist organizations from operating within Iraq, and bear financial liability for damage from the Gulf War. Saddam spent the 1990s defying and mocking America and Britain in every possible way. He attempted to shoot down Royal Air Force and US Air Force planes over the no-fly zones created to prevent him from mass slaughtering his own citizens. He corruptly profited from the UN oil for food scandal, while Iraqi children...
I didn't know that. The food scandal means UN gives him money for children, but he didn't do that. So many children dead.
Starved to death.
Also, he offered $25,000 US dollars for
to the families of
suicide bomber.
Every Palestinian suicide bomber. He harbored many of the world's leading terrorists, and he expelled UN weapons inspectors. By the time of the terrorist attack on the United States of 9/11, something for which Saddam was not responsible for or ever blamed for, any war against terror that did not involve toppling this brutal dictator, who might supply WMD to terrorists for future attacks, would have been absurd. Still, had he backed down and accepted repeated United Nations resolutions, especially those requiring him to prove he had destroyed his stockpiles of WMD and had no nuclear weapons development program, there would have been no US action.
いや、もう一個ある。もう一個ある。うん。椅子、すごい、後ろに椅子。いや、違う、椅子ある、椅子ある。後ろに椅子、もう一個。ソメヤ来るから、もうじき。ソメヤ来るから、もう椅子そこにもう一個あるでしょ。あったでしょ。
はい、あります。
ここ一個出して。はい。めったにこんないっぱい来ないんだよ。今日特別ね。今日新年会。
ああ、こんにちは。どうも。
本当はね、大津さんって女性が今日来る予定だった。で、今日何やるんですかって、イラクって言うから来ないってよかった。あの人ね、大津さんってね、英語の勉強しに行くんだよね。そうなんだよ。英語の勉強しに行くんだよ。あ ?4 時半だっけ ?5 時半までか。
私5時過ぎたらちょっと人を迎えに行ってきます。
あ、人を迎えに行って。まだ1時間半は。ちょっとこれ終わったらブレイクね。疲れちゃった。
Instead, he only became more bellicose. That's why some leading Democrats, such as Senators Hillary Clinton,
Okay, he has a question. How come Hillary Clinton, Joe Biden, and one more person,
Biden and
John Kerry supported to attack Iraq? Right? Unbelievable. Why they decided to? But American people like to attack the person who personally hate America. Right? America tried to brutally kill all of those people, like Saddam Hussein and Osama bin Laden, also Gaddafi, and they tried to kill Assad.
Yes, try.
Any other? No, that's all.
Future.
No.
That's all right. Okay, let's go on.
It's the Second Iraq War. Only later did they recant their decisions after claiming that they'd been lied to by the administration. But there'd been no need for the Bush administration to lie. Its assessment of the threat that Saddam posed concurred with that of the Clinton administration, as well as with numerous European intelligence services. And the road to a democratic Middle East had to begin in Iraq. A vicious, mass-murdering despot who had convinced the world that he had WMD and would use them stood in the way. In the spring of 2003, that was obvious both to Republicans and many Democrats, as well as to the leadership of Britain and dozens of other nations. That's why President Bush took America to war against the...
It's the same as the current situation for North Korea, is it? Republican Democrats support Trump? Not yet. 45% or 65 or 45 or whatever.
I'm Andrew Roberts.
Okay, so let's break 5 minutes.
So the question is, my question is, okay, this may answer some questions. That's why the US to go for the war against Iraq. But what this didn't answer is why this was so controversial. So finally, some countries were against this decision made by US. Then
none of country against to attack Iraq, right? Iraq at this time. Everybody supported, right?
Yeah, but the beginning of this video that was so controversial was somewhat against. But the question is why.
Oh, this guy is why is Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden and one more person, John Kerry, is supported to start war. He just have a question why they support it. But the rest of the world people support to attack Iraq. But he said no, this is not common sense. Don't do that, he said. But the country, none of the country against to start war, waging war. They supported, right? But his opinion is very negative, okay, to start war against Iraq.
His opinion.
Yeah. Against Iraq. That is his opinion.
Yeah.
He don't want to wage war against Iran by United States and the Western countries. Western country, every country supported to start war. Russia agreed with that.
Well, because they all assumed, they had no doubt that Iraq had.
Yes, that's right. They no doubt for the this one.
Yeah,
This one.
but
This one. WMD. Everybody had
no doubt.
No doubt for this
Russia,
WMD.
France, Germany.
Yeah, I think I had in the middle of this video that he's saying that so if so they shouldn't make any lie. So it's obvious. It was obvious. The president of Iraq at the time was brutal and doing anything good. So is with that reason alone is obviously reasonable to attack Iraq or
Yes.
say.
Yes.
So he was saying that the United States shouldn't have lied.
Last end, okay. He said negative for waging war against Iraq.
They disputed the reason why these three.
No reason. He said this is even if toppling the brutal dictator, but you consider for WMD, but everybody no doubt. But why we should going to start war?
Can I ask? Can we watch this again?
Yeah.
Can we watch from the beginning one more time?
Where?
Can we play?
You play?
Yes.
You want to see again?
Yes.
Because Takashi might be saying something, right? Okay.
It's only
The
5 minutes.
decision was controversial at
You
the
can
time and
listen.
remains so today, but the reason was clear. Saddam Hussein, the brutal dictator of Iraq for 35 years, was the central threat to peace in the Middle East. With that threat removed, the Bush administration believed the establishment of a functioning democracy in Iraq would encourage the growth of democracy elsewhere in the Arab world. As democracy spread, terrorism would retreat. But it is on the blood-stained life and career of Saddam Hussein that we need to concentrate in order better to understand why the United States felt forced to act in 2003. We begin with the Iran-Iraq War, which Saddam started in 1980 and which lasted until 1988. 1 million people died in the course of the decade-long struggle. And during that war, weapons of mass destruction, or WMD, especially poison gas, were used on a regular basis by both sides. Once his war with Iran ended, instead of building up his shattered nation, Saddam decided to embark on another lunatic adventure. In 1990, he tried to grab 19% of the world's oil supply by invading Kuwait. His brief annexation of Kuwait proved to be another disaster. The mother of all battles, as Saddam called it, turned out to be a 3-week rout, his Iraqi army utterly defeated by a US-led coalition. But rather than trying Saddam as a war criminal, America and the West allowed him to stay in power. This appeasement eventually led Saddam, once again, to draw entirely the wrong conclusion and to his making yet another colossal mistake. He arrogantly believed that his Iraqi army might actually defeat the United States in a second encounter. His trump card, he believed, or at least attempted to make the world believe, was his possession of WMD, large quantities of poison gas and, if only in his imagination, a rapidly progressing nuclear weapons development program. There was no reason to doubt that he had WMD, as he used poison gas in his war against Iran. No one, not the Germans, not the Russians, not the British, had any doubts about this. Looking back at the 12 years between the Gulf War and the Iraq War, Saddam might have been able to re-establish international credibility by complying with the 16 reasonable UN resolutions passed between November 1990 and December 1999. These resolutions simply required Saddam to, among other things, destroy all of his ballistic missiles with a range greater than 150 kilometers, stop support for terrorism internationally, and prevent terrorist organizations from operating within Iraq, and bear financial liability for damage from the Gulf War. But Saddam spent the 1990s defying and mocking America and Britain in every possible way. He attempted to shoot down Royal Air Force and US Air Force planes over the no-fly zones created to prevent him from mass slaughtering his own citizens. He corruptly profited from the UN oil for food scandal, while Iraqi children starved to death. He offered $25,000 to the families of every Palestinian suicide bomber. He harboured many of the world's leading terrorists, and he expelled UN weapons inspectors. By the time of the terrorist attack on the United States of 9/11, something for which Saddam was not responsible for or ever blamed for, any war against terror that did not involve toppling this brutal dictator, who might supply WMD to terrorists for future attacks, would have been absurd. Still, had he backed down and accepted repeated United Nations resolutions, especially those requiring him to prove he had destroyed his stockpiles of WMD and had no nuclear weapons development program, there would have been no US action. Instead, he only became more bellicose. That's why some leading Democrats, such as Senators Hillary Clinton, Joe Biden and John Kerry, voted to authorize the Second Iraq War. Only later did they recant their decisions after claiming that they'd been lied to by the administration. But there had been no need for the Bush administration to lie. Its assessment of the threat that Saddam posed concurred with that of the Clinton administration, as well as with numerous European intelligence services. And the road to a democratic Middle East had to begin in Iraq. A vicious, mass-murdering despot who had convinced the world that he had WMD and would use them stood in the way. In the spring of 2003, that was obvious both to Republicans and many Democrats, as well as to the leadership of Britain and dozens of other nations. That's why President Bush took America to war against Iraq. I'm Andrew Roberts for Prager University.
Join Prager University. Click here to
Okay.
So basically, he's saying that Saddam is lunatic, right? Greedy, and he attacked after war with Iran. Then he went for Kuwait, and that's why first he was destroyed by the alliance, so that save the Kuwait. However, he also addressed that it was a mistake to keep him in power, right? So that by keeping in power, he was doing destroying all the planes on no-fly zone, and he was what else was he doing? He was paying all the monies for terrorists, and so then U.S. or UN advised to do not those things, but he didn't listen. So that's what this guy is, right? But I'm curious what Saddam what was he really thinking?
He has too much confidence.
He had too much confidence?
Yeah, so he's a bad character, okay? He must be more careful about the rest of the world, how thinking about against Iraq. So he just too much confidence. He can beat everybody, like Gaddafi.
Okay.
So must be humiliation.
Humiliate.
Humiliate.
So far, my impression is like, as you mentioned, like Gaddafi. I think the U.S. or UN blame on Hussein's what he have committed, right, as a wrong act. But right, if UN or US didn't go there, then probably maybe Iraq gained more power in Middle East, right?
Say again?
If UN or US didn't go in, or basically
What do you mean
go into Middle East to the war in 2003, if US didn't destroy Hussein, there was a risk that Iraq gained more power in Middle East, increase their territory, increase more oil property.
First of all, their military action was wrong in 2003. They need to consider for more citizens. Who are they? So American military neglect them. Where they tried bombing and beat them, they thought win. This is not true. Like right. Afghanistan, same. Send soldiers and
right.
kill them.
That's the US, right.
Nothing happened.
Right.
So always America tried to type of invading, but no success.
No success.
Makes
No
chaos.
success. So currently I'm writing democracy because democracy is not government. Democracy is people. Okay. They support government. Okay, government will go to stable. The America is a different approach. Always they attack.
Yes.
And defeat finally. Like Vietnam is a good example. Bombing and they kill them all. No, nothing happened. Right?
Right.
So Middle East the same. And invade and just finally defeated. Right? So they retreated from Middle East and Russia support from Syria. They success. They just only beat ISIL. Only beat ISIL. And that it is. But so they can more utilize their power at that area, right? So America's approach is they need to change. Trump is, I believe, they're completely wrong. He just wants to get money. Son of a bitch guy, just try to invade Afghanistan and get minerals, get ruby, get money from there. That's all. And Yemen is the same. They sell weaponry, get money from Saudi Arabia. That's all. They don't think about that. Just only get money. China is different. China always thinking about put investment in, and they are doing business, okay? Not colonialism, just doing business there. America is steal money. Okay, Europe is colonialism. China is doing business. This is three of those different. Japan is completely different. They don't chase him money, okay? He don't get any, national, interest, okay? They don't chase national interest. Japanese people, they're strange people. They don't care, okay? Just bring money and support you, that's all. Nothing behind. Support you.
Right, not national benefit.
This is like, do you remember before World War II, they organized Asian countries, 교회계. This is a kind of sort of organization before. This is pure mind. But Japan defeated World War, so American government tried to eliminate the Japanese, what they're doing before. This is different. Japanese people is a pure mind. Exception is only China. Invading China, kill ordinary people, raping ordinary women. In China is different. Okay? So China is different. In Asia Pacific is very peacefully dominant in World War II. China is, I don't know how come this reason is very obvious. Headquarters of military headquarters, they decided 1942, you can invade China and get food from China people, Chinese farmer. It means get food from Chinese farmer means kill them all. Headquarters, they don't think about that. They try to kill them all, but consequence, okay? Consequences, it means kill them all. 6 million kill them all. Nanjing is it's just fake news. they just only killed 40,000, and why they said 300,000 killed? Because Mao Zedong is a great person. Okay, he said he did, we're going to only focus on Nanjing, but Japanese military killed them all. Okay, this
so
is it.
His statement, his position in this video is, I think he started to saying this video is this what was controversial, and it still remains so. This means maybe the decision to step in was reasonable, but the actual action to be which was taken on the ground was not maybe right, because the Iraq and Middle East falling into more chaotic situation. So maybe Saddam was obviously doing something wrong. So their intention to introduce democratic system into the Middle East was right, reasonable. So to defeat Saddam and introduce some democratic situation was reasonable. So the hearing, the other officers agreed to step in some chaotic situation in the Iraq at the time. This is maybe reasonable, not okay, reasonable. But what exactly U.S. has been doing since this war or before, from some years back to this war, was not so reasonable, because this has resulted in making more chaotic situation.
Well, one of the reasons they made it chaotic is because when Hussein was in power, yes, he was brutal, but there was control. Extreme way, but it was dictatorship, right?
Worse, but not worst. So what Hussein was doing is obviously worse, not good.
Right, not good.
But it might be better than what U.S. has been doing, has been implementing something.
Well,
what is called democratic in the Middle East.
The citizens weren't. Their mind is not. They're not educated for democratic system, and at the same time, all the people who lived quietly, but by the war, and by in beginning, getting rid of Hussein sounded good, but then all the terrorists come, which becomes outlaw, right? There's no law. So then people who have to be civilians now, they have to be fearful of terrorists, and then have questions about, probably the propaganda against the U.S. is already there, and don't know what to believe. The fact is they are not living comfortable.
Okay, this is video. He just finally this presenter proposed doubt why they start waging war and why they try to strike against Iraq. But his opinion is wrong. Anyway, they try to eliminate Saddam Hussein is right decision. But problem is the United States how to occupy this country, how to doing the strategy for how to stabilize this country, completely wrong.
Right.
So that is all problem spread all over Middle East. Okay, so that's the reason ISIL coming on the surface, and they got the power, and also against Syria is also a problem. Obama tried to kill Syria Assad, but this is wrong. Assad is not so much wrong person. Just they try to make a lot of fake news spread all over Middle East. So Middle East is big turmoil, even if America spends lots of money, but useless. Completely useless. So, I don't think Putin is honest, good guy. I don't think, but his action is this time very right, okay? He tried to stabilize the Middle East, right? Turmoil, just try to eliminate ISIL and stabilize this country. This is true. Now Trump tried to consider for against Iran. Also, this is wrong action. Iran is very strong country. America cannot eliminate this country. Saudi is deteriorating the country. That's Latin, especially Salman he's not clever guy, so does not take long. So why Trump support Saudi Arabia and Israel, but this is wrong action against Iran. Iran they need to approve this country's existence in the Middle East. But maybe he considered for a couple of years, again, start turmoil in Middle East. So he tried to kick him crazy, something wrong. It's a crazy guy. Kick him, get into Middle East, try to more problem in Middle East, take time. But how come for two or 3 years? Not more than that. Maybe 2 years. Israel is not takes so long, but that country, small country, even if they have military power, but country is small, and Middle East, Islamic countries getting more power and power, including Iran, right? So this finally Iran will dominate in Middle East. Iran with Syria and supported behind Russia will going to establish in Middle East. Get stabilized. But America don't want Middle East to get stabilized because they have originally, historically, they have power. Middle East power, like Europe. They are threat. They feel threat. But beforehand, China is going to get power anyway. So American era will going to get more and more deteriorating year by year anyway. The break show, go home, 5 minutes. 斉藤さんどうですか？どうです？
今日の？
うん。
今日のね、わかんなかったのはね、なんで、ビルマというのかわかんない。ニュースではミャンマーと言ってて。
いや、ビルマってね、アウンサンスーチームビルマって言ってんの。
いやいや、だから、NHK のニュースでも、ビルマってことは使ってないのね。ミャンマーです。ね。で、こういうところでは
ビルマって言ってんの。
ね。
うん。
だそれ、あれっていう感じと、それと、ロヒンギャに対して、ロヒンギャに対して、日本軍がどうのこうのって言ってましたよね。
うん。
日本軍は支援して
た。ロヒンギャをね。
して
た。やっぱりそうだ。
そういう話だった、さっき。
そうだよ。うん。
そういう話だったのね。
うん。でも彼はね、違う、ロヒンギャ、イギリス軍だって言うんだけど。
イギリス軍ってイギリスが統治をするためにロヒンギャを使っていた。
でもさ、日本軍が占領した時は、ロヒンギャを、先兵隊にして、ビルマの人と戦ったわけね。だから仏教徒と。だから、あれはもう戦争中からね、ロヒンギャと仏教徒はもういがみ合う。そういう、殺し合いしたからね。それはずっとそうです。
もともと大英帝国が、連れてきちゃ、200年ぐらい前に、連れてきちゃったわけですよ。
でもロヒンギャとずっとあそこにいたんじゃないですか。
いや、もともとはいた、少しは。で少しいたから別にベクジェだってことはなかった。だけど、大英帝国がドーンと、コロニーのワーカーとして連れてきちゃったから。
若いのところに。
あ、そうか、その後だから、そうだよ、日本軍が彼を支援して。
どっかで
パキスタンと。プランテーションのワーカーとして。で、なおかつ、メジャーのブティスをドミネートするために使っちゃったもんだから、メジャーのブティスはルワンダの土族と質族になっちゃう。
あれね、話戻してさ、なんでミャンマーって言わないかというと、今の人たちってビルマって言うんだよ。アウンサンスーチーム。必ずミャンマーとは言わない。絶対ミャンマー。
英語でミャンマーのって、国はミャンマーですけど、そのミャンマーのって言うと、バーマーっていう。
バーマーってね。なんで俺わかんないけど。
ミャンマーの人たちって、
バーミーズ。
確かにミャンミーズって言わないですね。バーミーズ。
バーミーズ。
日本のメディアでビルマって使ってないでしょ。
だけど彼らはビルマって言ってる。
だからそれはおかしいよね。メディアがおかしいのか、日本の。
忖度してる。
僕は日本語、僕は最近日本語を見ないからわか
なん
る。
でミャンマー、なんていうんですかね、英語だとミャンマー語っていうのをミャンマーをベースに。
いや、ない、英語にないよ。
ミ
バーミーズ。
ャンミーズとか言わないですよね。
ミャンミーズって言わないですよ。
バーミーズ。
バービーズ。
もうすぐ最初わかんなくて、何言ってんのかな。
ですよね。そうです。そうなります
あ
ね。
去年の9月まで NHK のインターネットのウェブニュースの手伝いをしてたの。
はい、はい。
一度もビルマなんか使ったことない。
ビルマの
最初来たから、僕正直控えてね、話するとね、実は僕はもうずっと英語の世界にいるのね。それでね、CCTV って中国のテレビとか、それからカタールのアルジャジーラとか、それからイギリスの BBC とか、アメリカの CNN とかアメリカいっぱいあるね、フォックスニュースいっぱいあるんだけど、彼らはね、国内だけじゃなくて海外のニュースを扱うんですよ。で、彼らの特色はね、アルジャジーラもそうだけど、アフリカなんかも、CCTV なんて専用の番組持ってるのね。で、彼らの特色は何かっていうと、意見を言うの。意見。ところが NHK ってさ、アルジャジーラも放送するんだけど、意見は言わないのね。で、欧米とかアフリカのテレビってみんな意見を言うの。で、CCTV なんかも、あとロシアの RT ね。ロシアの RT とか CCTV ってね、中国色は全く出してないの。ロシア色も。全くニュートラルで、ただ、ソフィーっていうのは、ロシアのさ、コメンテーターでいるんだけど、彼女独立してんだけど、RT のレギュラーで出てるわけね、ロシアテレビ。で、彼らはね、オピニオンを言うわけ。例えば、プレジデントをね、大統領と話すときは、お前おかしいじゃないかっていう、そういうこと言うわけですよ。ところが日本のテレビってどこも言わない。例えば、サウススダンに自衛隊を送ったんです。5年間いたんですけど、それなんかもう2分30秒ぐらいでさ、例えば防衛大臣が7時間いたようなんて、30秒ぐらいしかやらないのね。そんなの世界にどこもないの。日本だけなの。だから、例えば、富士通がベトナム農業支援しました。で、ベトナムって今すごく先端農業をね、一生懸命、日本も一生懸命サポートしてんだけど、なんと、富士通のその支援ってのはさ、YouTube ってベトナム語なんだよね。だから東南アジアの中であんないい技術を移植してるのに誰も知らない。ベトナム人も知らない。で、要するにね、日本の政府とか日本の報道機関っていうのはね、日本のプレゼンスを世界にこう訴えるっていう、例えば、もちろん、自衛隊のヘッドって防衛長官7時間しかね、防衛大臣7時間いないっても本当クレイジーでアホじゃないかと思うんだけど、ね、訓示垂れて日本語でさ、このババア何しに来たんだみたいなの見てて、外人みたいな、このババア何しに来たんだって誰だったら防衛大臣、いい加減にしてくれみたいなビデオをこうやってるけども、あんなのもうやめてほしいよね。あんなことするんだったら、英語でやってるからさ、何のメリットもないよね。なぜ来たのか。要するに、ちょうど、サウススーダンってちょうど今、ものすごくトラブった時にね、自衛隊、100万人が逃げた時に自衛隊が撤退したの。ちょうど日本って、相手国のこと全く関係なくて、時間来たらパッてやっちゃって、しかもその前に防衛大臣が来て挨拶してご苦労さんなんてバカなことやってさ、品種買ったわけね。それをね、日本人は知らない。それをね、やっぱりね、日本の報道は一切そういうことやってないんで、僕は、Unno塾って今、アップしてるけどね、毎週6時間ぐらいアップしてるんだけど、これは教えてる、今日やったやつを、しまった。止めなかった。しまった。あれどこ行った終わっちゃったやってる。So now is, we are moving to next one. Iraq Prime Minister Haider al-Abadi speaks at the Institute of Peace. Okay, this one. He is very good politician. Okay.
Excellency. Thank you, USIP, for this gathering. It's a pleasure for me to be here.
By the way, everybody, Asian country and African countries president came to Washington, D.C., make kind of speech, try to get investment from United States and the other area people. So that's the reason why he came stand, make a speech for what he's saying. And also this Abadi is very good person. Okay, just listen.
We have done a long way since 2 years ago. Nobody had imagined, even when I was here last year, that we'll be in Mosul today. And we have liberated the majority of Nainawa.
But he said Mosul is okay. This video is made at last year's March.
Last year March. Mosul is city in Iraq?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
City in Iraq.
Yes, ISIL, the city, Mosul and 2 or 3 big cities. Or some other city, but one city, one of large city, they just got, Iraq army got this city returned to this country.
One majority of Mosul. And now the advance that our security forces has made is very courageous. They didn't have only to fight.
Oh, sorry, I just need to explain the key word. His whereabouts are unknown. Whereabouts. Daesh. Okay, Daesh. Paralyze. Daesh しょっちゅう使うね。Paralyze 使う。At large 使う。Reprimand あんまり使わない。Havoc しょっちゅう使います。Grievance これもしょっちゅう使います。Third.
Daesh, that means Arabian language.
I don't know Daesh. This is Daesh.
Okay.
I don't know. Daesh. しょっちゅう使います。中東の人は ISIS って言わないで、Daesh。多分アラビアの言葉だ。Third、これはあんまり使わない。Coherent、これしょっちゅう使います。Antagonize、これもしょっちゅう使います。Polarize、これもしょっちゅう使います。Ministerial、あんまり使わない。Unitary、しょっちゅう使います。Agony、しょっちゅう出ます。Amount to も使います。Clutch、ピンチってのは知らなかったね。Clutch。そうかな。ちょっと、well off、しょっちゅう使います。Intrinsic、これもしょっちゅう使います。Mosaic、Impunity、これ、without impunity は咎めなしでっていう言葉でしょっちゅう出てきます。without impunity。Demobilize、with impunity, not without. with impunity。Blunt、露骨な。Forensic evidence、これもしょっちゅう出てきます。Frank、明らかな。Frank、Rocky、多難な。Rocky もしょっちゅう出ますね。岩だけ多難な。New breed、これも使いますね。はい、これが新しい単語です。じゃあ聞いてみましょ
う。But they have to fight and win over the population while keeping the citizens at home in order to protect them. Because if we would have allowed the citizens to flee their houses, as some probably suggested at the time, we wouldn't have been able to care for these civilians, probably 1 million or over 1 million of the population in Mosul itself and the areas surrounding it. But we have managed through our security forces to liberate the people and to have the trust of the people. Most of the intelligence about the whereabouts of arms, explosions, and terrorist elements are provided by the locals who were supposed to be loyal to Daesh, according to the assumption of many. Over the rule of Daesh for 2.5 years over these areas, we have managed to win over these areas, to liberate them, and we are at the last stage of liberating the whole of Nainawa. In actual fact, liberating the whole of Iraq from Daesh and terrorism of Daesh. We have established a very good working relationship which has not happening in the history of Iraq for the Iraqi security forces, for Iraqi military to fight alongside the Peshmerga and vice versa. There is a mutual trust which has never been seen before.
Peshmerga is the army of Kurdish.
Kurds.
Which is a very positive sign by moving from confrontation and trust to more working relationship. I wasn't, to be honest with you, expecting things to be that smooth. Me and President Barzani were, well, troubled at times.
He said President Barzani.
That because there were a lot of frictions in the past, a lot of enmities, but believe me, there was not a single incident of misunderstanding between the Peshmerga and the Iraqi forces while they were fighting together against a very vicious enemy, and despite the difficulties of the past. So this is a new Iraq which we would like to see, a new Iraq.
She said the protest for Peshmerga is Kurdish people will cooperate with Iraq army. He insisted, right?
Yes.
He protected.
Which we would like to establish.
New Iraq.
Yeah.
And it is possible to establish it. My point is about stabilization and reconstruction of the areas which we have liberated. So far, 1.6 million people, internal displaced people, returned to their homes, is a huge accomplishment when the war is still there, when the oil prices has went down so far, in a country where 93% of the budget relies on oil. And despite that, we have been able to stabilize these areas, to provide the minimum of the services to the people so people can return to their areas. This is one of the accomplishments. The other one is, which we are relying on local forces now in the liberated area to protect the civilians inside. We are keeping our military as a national army representing all the people. I remember 2 years ago when I took office, many of our military commanders would tell me they feel very uncomfortable at checkpoints when they go to the southern governorates and other areas because the people would curse them and tell them, you let us down. We are not proud of you. Now, Iraqi people are proud of our military. They are proud of our security forces. They see them as a national hero. They will represent all Iraqis.
Al-Abadi, at that time, his time is military, is battle against ISIL. So, just a moment. Go ahead.
Because our direction to them is to respect people, to respect human rights. For you to fight for the country, you have to win over the people. When you want to arrest a terrorist or a criminal, you should just arrest that criminal or a terrorist, and you should behave properly with his family and the rest of the population. You don't want to arrest one person and make another.
At the era of Maliki president, at that time military is not so trusted by the people. But now is after his era, military is very strong. They're proud of the battle against ISIL. So citizens is trust military. They changed a lot for past 3 years. This is what he said.
20 enemy of the state or enemy of the society. I think the whole behavior of our security forces has been transformed. I'm not saying there are not excesses of human rights. This still happens. This is a war. And you cannot control the whole apparatus of our security forces and the community at large, but at least we hold them accountable. We are not allowing any incident which we know about. There may be other incidents which we don't have proof about, we don't have enough information about. But where we know about, we have enough information about, we take action. And we reprimand these responsible for these acts. And I think commanders and others, they know that if they make something wrong, they'll be held accountable for their action. And this has transformed the way our military, our security forces are dealing with the public at large. I think we have won over our population, we have extended our hands, to all communities inside Iraq. One major point of the policy of my government is to delegate more responsibility to the regions and to the governments, and we've been doing this successfully. There was fear that once you delegate more responsibility, the country may disintegrate. I say it's the opposite. When you give more delegation to the regions, they will be more feeling within one country. They will feel they are part of the country and they have to defend it. Of course, there is a balance between federal authority and regional authority, and anyone knows about federal system, they know this fact. We have to keep this balance according to the Constitution and according to the law.
これ地方分散のこと言ってるんですね。地方分散、権限。
And of course, we have to build our institutions. Iraq has been always a central state, where it's governed from the center. So most check and balances are made from the center. We don't have check and balances, many checks and balances in the region. So I think we have to make these check and balances in the region more powerful. We have to build them in the institution way, and we have to give more support so that politicians can be held accountable to what they do. And this is very important for us. Of course, I'm not saying things we are happening in Iraq is easy. Of course, a lot of people don't, we have a lot of opposition. Welcome to democracy. But this is a new democracy where sometimes the line between democracy and non-democratic behavior is not well defined.
Usually, president cannot speak English like him.
Right.
He stayed in British for many years, so he can speak native English. He's very good for speaking English, right? But not usually, not like him.
And sometimes they feel freedom of speech means freedom of encouraging terrorism, encouraging havoc, encouraging breaking the law, and encouraging all sorts. But we are moving, and I can claim that in the last more than probably 20 months, there has been demonstrations in Iraq weekly in many governors at the same time. And the security forces were keeping peace with these demonstrations, protecting them and protecting the population at large. I don't think this is a phenomenon which is witnessed in the Arab world or in the region at large. And we are happy with that, for people to speak out their grievances, to say what they want, and in this way I think we can build better Iraq by listening to others. The distinction between a belief and being in government, it must be defined. The government is responsible for the whole population, regardless of their affiliation, of their belief. And people in a position of responsibility should act according to this. And I think this government has been very eager to demonstrate this behavior in its dealing with its citizens. I'm not saying we were successful in all departments, but at least we have drawn a line, a new line in the policy of a government towards its population. The last thing is reform. Reform is important for us. We have to bring back the trust of the people in the system, in the way we govern the country. This is a new democracy. It will be a sad day for all of us if people believe dictatorship is better than democracy. Because if democracy didn't protect them, didn't provide for them, if there are corruption in the political system, and the political system is unable to correct the corruption of politicians and others in responsibility, I think we'll fail. So reform is a must. We must go through reform, but I tell you, it's not an easy task. From my experience in reforms, you get people who are very close to you who become against you, because in reform you do things which people don't like, especially people in position and people who have authority. I've been through this. I say probably I'm lucky that I survived so far, but I think we are almost there. I think this is a job of a leader or a prime minister of a country to deliver at the end of the day to the people We are liberating our areas despite our economical difficulties, and we are killing Daesh. We are proving that Daesh can be killed. Daesh can be eliminated. And we can do it, not only in Iraq, in the region. I'm encouraging our allies and our friends to stay focused. We shouldn't lose focus. We shouldn't give Daesh a second chance, or the terrorist organization similar to Daesh. If we stay focused, we can eliminate this terrorist organization. And we can prevent similar terrorist organization from coming back. Working together, I think we can be successful. Thank you very much.
Okay, Iraq is a democratic country. Right? She is very good. And the remaining 30 minutes,